All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rob McCammon from Cleversafe. Very happy to be back for my second appearance at Storage Field Day, so I hope that means I didn't mess up too bad the first time I was here. I get to come back. I'd like to introduce the other people from Cleversafe that are here with me today. We have Crystal Jones, who's our marketing specialist. We have Rich Leroux, who's one of our members of our customer solutions team that works directly with new customers as they install their Cleversafe products. And on the phone, we have Mike Burby, who's another member of our customer solutions team who will be helping me with a demonstration a little bit later in our presentation. So just to give you an idea of what we're going to cover today, I'm going to start with a brief introduction or reintroduction of Cleversafe, just in case there are people that aren't that familiar with what we do, or you were familiar at last Storage Field Day but haven't thought about it since then, and it's kind of left your frontal cortex. So we'll have a quick refresher.
I am a bit senile.
But then I'm going to spend most of my time just walking through some examples of real customer deployments of the Cleversafe technology to give you a sense of some of the types of applications that we're addressing and what a solution that addresses these different types of applications in the real world looks like. What are the components? What are the primary requirements, drivers, and benefits for each of those? So as far as the introduction goes, Cleversafe is based in Chicago, Illinois. We were founded in 2004, and we deployed our first production system in 2008. We make a large-scale object storage solution, and we've got customers around the world storing hundreds of petabytes worth of production data in the Cleversafe system today. We also have a very rich intellectual property portfolio associated with the features and functions of our products, which is manifested in over 100 patents that have been issued to date for Cleversafe technology. Recently, many of you probably saw the IDC MarketScape for object storage. We at Cleversafe were obviously very pleased to see the recognition of our position in the marketplace in the leaders quadrant for object storage.
It's not a quadrant.
Sorry, the leaders, what would I call that? Zone? The leaders zone?
You don't want to get in trouble with the G people and call it a quadrant.
You're correct. It's a lead in the leaders corner. In the leaders corner. And some of the things that IDC really highlighted in their coverage of Cleversafe in this report was that we've really focused on very large scale deployments. That's been our focus since the company was founded. And that we have an advantage because we've been doing this for a very long time. So we've deployed into production multiple versions of our product. We've had a long time to go well beyond kind of the basics of building an object storage system, well beyond the basics of using erasure coding to provide data protection in an object storage system, and have a great deal of additional rich functionality in our overall product. Of course, we're targeted at these very large scale storage requirements because that's a very clear trend in the market. You're all very aware of it. Unstructured data requirements growing very fast, creating challenges for organizations that have to store an amount of unstructured data for various business purposes that's growing faster than their IT budget can possibly grow. So they can't just keep increasing their IT spend every year in line with the increase in their storage capacity requirements. They need a new approach. They need something that will change the shape of the curve of cost relative to storage capacity. And so that's the challenge that Cleversafe is really focused on, providing a storage system for people that have petabyte or exabyte scale storage challenges that protects data at that scale against loss from a number of different potential causes: hardware failures, server failures, site failures, network outages, data integrity problems, and security breaches. and to do so in a uniquely cost-effective way built on this foundation of object storage and erasure coding. So to get a sense of what I mean when I say a more cost-effective approach, this is just an example. Imagine that you had an organization that needed to store a petabyte of information, and they wanted a storage system that gave them 10 nines of reliability. So it wouldn't be uncommon to find many organizations that had those requirements today, and most typically they'd be storing their data on RAID arrays. They'd maybe have 3 copies. That's pretty typical to get their reliability and durability that they require, maybe even a 4th copy on tape. So to store a petabyte of data, 3 copies using RAID, you're going to need a total of 964 terabyte disks. Now, Cleversafe is going to store that much data and provide that same level of reliability without making copies. Instead of making copies to provide data durability and fault tolerance, we're going to apply erasure coding. That means our storage is going to have a lower overhead. And for example, in this requirement, we could use an erasure coding scheme that creates 12 segments from all the data. We call those segments slices. Stores each segment on a physically different storage server, and then can restore the original data from any 7 of those slices. The amount of increase in the size of the original data in that system is 1.7 times the original data. So we need raw storage for 1.7 petabytes worth of information to store and protect 1 petabyte of original customer data, which means if you turn that into how many 4 terabyte disk drives you require, we would require 432. So that's 60% fewer drives that you have required to purchase, have space for, provide power and cooling for, providing the same level of reliability, site level fault tolerance with a significant cost advantage. So this kind of highlights how using erasure coding as your method of data durability at this scale really has significant cost benefits. So as I mentioned, the way that our system works, when you ingest an object, the first thing we do is one of our appliances called an accessor applies the erasure coding, transforms that data into a number of slices. That's a number that the customer is actually able to specify. So this is showing an example configuration where the data gets converted into 12 slices, but it could be 16, it could be 30, it could be 36. We have customers creating anywhere from 9 to 36 slices of each piece of data in production systems today. And then they also configure how many slices of that number do you require to reconstruct the original data bit perfectly. So in this example, we're using 7. So we call these parameters width, the number of slices that we create is 12. Threshold, the number of slices that we require of those 12 slices to recover the original data, 7. If we store each of those 12 slices on a separate server, then we can lose up to 5 servers and still not lose any data and still not lose the ability to read the data. So the data is both protected reliably and availably through 5 failures of any type in this particular configuration. And by changing the distance between the width and the threshold, making it larger than 5 or smaller than 5, we're giving the customer the flexibility to essentially bias the system towards lower reliability with lower cost, less expansion, or higher reliability and higher cost in a very flexible way. And you set these parameters on logical storage containers that are created on the physical DSNet. So on the same DSNet, you can actually be storing data to 2 different logical containers that have different widths and thresholds, different reliability and expansion factor characteristics as a result. So we're finding interest and adoption of this storage solution that we provide for a number of different use cases or applications and a number of different data types. Now these are all real examples from real customers that are in production or have engaged with Cleversafe and are doing a physical proof of concept. So they've understood the concept, they see the benefit to their organization. They're kind of in the final stages of proving that it works in their environment, on real hardware. So, and I apologize for the tones. I'm not quite sure where they're coming from.
The room's haunted. It's okay.
Okay. So applications that we have customers using the Cleversafe DSNet for include archive, both inactive and active archives, backup, file collaboration. What I mean by that is an organization that has workers in a number of remote locations that are working on documents, sharing them back and forth, and doing so using a centrally provided storage resource. Content repository, that's a store for audio or video. Think of more commercial audio and video, so music, TV programs, movies that then are going to be distributed to people that want to listen to or watch those assets. Storage as a service, which is almost kind of a second dimension to this whole use case puzzle. So our storage as a service customers are providing services that are archive services or backup services, content repository services, a lot of the same use cases, but delivered to a number of different end user customers. And it was so important that I included it on my slide twice, except the last one actually says software as a service. So what I find one of the more interesting use cases is we do have customers today who are providing a software application as a service, let's say a project management application that companies use to manage their projects. And when you're managing projects, there's lots of documents that you're attaching to those projects and communicating back and forth with project team members. So they're using a DSNet as a storage resource for their users to collaborate with respect to the documents that are involved in their project management process. In terms of data types, we've got photos, both consumer photos and professional photos, satellite images, medical images, audio files, including the ever popular your call may be recorded type files. We have customers that are storing that kind of data using a DSNet, a wide variety of different video applications, scientific data, documents, meaning office productivity type documents, Word documents, PDFs, but also legal documents, medical records, and other types of documents. Project files, that's the software as a service project management example that I mentioned. And software builds. One of our customers is actually using a DSNet to store software builds, both during the active development process and then when they're done and they're keeping the golden version of that software in storage in a durable and reliable archive. So the reasons that the Cleversafe solution is...
it seemed like builds wouldn't be in a petabyte scale, exabyte scale kind of environments that you guys would seem like do well in. But
well, for some very large software companies that have a wide product portfolio, they actually do get large enough that it makes sense for them. You're right, exabyte scale is hard to imagine.
Yeah, and then the geographic distribution of the builds, that would be something support multiple development labs kind of thing, is that?
Yes, correct. Yeah, exactly. Right. So what we hear from our customers as the reasons that they're choosing the Cleversafe solution for this wide variety of applications, it kind of starts with the foundation that is provided by object storage and erasure coding, but it equally relies on the additional features and functionality that are part of the Cleversafe implementation of a storage system that uses those foundational principles. So we have a shared nothing architecture, which means we are virtually limitless from a scalability point of view. There's no centralized anything in any part of our system.
Very happy you said virtually limitless instead of many claims of absolutely limitless. So. Kudos.
This is a personal thing of my own. I'm an engineer at heart. I have a hard time just saying limitless without some kind of a qualifier. In terms of flexibility, so as the example I gave you, that on the same storage system you can have data for different applications stored with different levels of reliability and therefore different associated cost factors. The ability to upgrade the system with no downtime. So if you use Cleversafe DSNet to store your data, you don't have any storage-related service unavailable type conditions. Our system naturally supports geographic dispersal. So you can configure the system, you can put it in one data center, you can put it in 3 data centers, you can put it in lots of data centers. I'll show you an example later of a real customer who has their DSNet spread across 9 data centers. We have a very full-featured management application. So for monitoring the health of the system, the performance of the system, for configuring the system to communicate with other systems about the status of the DSNet and the hardware that it's running on top of. We support a number of different storage interfaces that make it easy for you to take your existing applications, your legacy applications, and connect them up to a DSNet and use it to store data. We run on pretty much commodity hardware. We don't require anything special or unique in the hardware that underpins the DSNet. And for those customers who are particularly security conscious, we have a feature that combines a certain form of encryption with erasure coding so that the data as stored on individual hard drives could not be used to extract any of the original information. So you could store information on a DSNet that was classified, pull out a hard drive, send it to your choice of controlled countries, and they in no way would be able to extract any information from it. So these are really the things that are above and beyond the basic foundation of object storage and erasure coding that is enabling Cleversafe to succeed with this wide range of applications.
Where you said commodity type of hardware, was that off-the-shelf hardware, or is it is x86?
It is, yeah, it's x80. So it's x86, standard SATA disk drive, standard networking cards, standard RAID controllers.
Is the sheet metal changed for you or not?
We support both models, so we do offer appliances, so a customer can purchase hardware from us that's Cleversafe branded. But we also have customers to whom we only provide software, and they deploy it on another piece of hardware of their choice.
Do you have a compatibility list, or it's a project?
We do have a compatibility list. It's relatively short. For us, it's pretty much customer driven. So when we engage with a customer that has a significant scope need and a strong interest in our software on their choice of hardware, then we work with them to essentially certify that hardware, and then once it's certified, publicize its availability for use by other customers of ours that are interested.